Hello, Mr. Moss here, and in this video we're taking a look at different ways to rename numbers. We're going to be using our place value skills, and I want to start by giving a shout out to Mrs. Lebowski, who gave some great ideas for how we can best explain this concept. And this can sometimes be a little tricky for students. So let's say we've got here the number 4,800, and we want to know how many hundreds are in 4,800. And so a way that we should start doing this is to draw a place value chart. That's a really critical skill for 4th grade students to have. Everyone should always be able to draw a place value chart. You never know when you're going to need it. So I'm just going to really quickly draw one right now. So we know that we start off with the ones, and then we have the tens, we have the hundreds, and then we have the thousands place. And of course, if we had a larger number, we could continue to extend it this way. So the first thing that I want to do is take a look at putting in this number into our place value chart. So again, that's going to be 4,800. Our next step is we're going to draw this out. And to draw it out, we're going to use the base 10 block shorthand. So let me just grab an extra sheet of paper here. We're going to do a quick review of what those different symbols are. Bear with me while I get one that the marker didn't bleed through. All right, so the smallest of all of the base 10 blocks, and I just had one of them right here. Here it is the cube. And the cube represents most of the time 1. That may change when we're talking about decimals, but most of the time the cube represents 1. And the symbol that we use to show that in base 10 shorthand, we also call it quick draw, is just a dot. It can be anything. It doesn't have to be pretty. The next size that we have is our long here. The long is always worth 10. And to represent that, we draw it just as a line. Our next symbol here is the flat. A flat is worth 100, and we represent that just by drawing a square. And lastly, the last symbol here is a big cube. And the big cube here is worth, let's just change it here, 1,000. And to show 1,000, we make it look like it would have been a 3-dimensional cube, but that's our symbol that we use. So to draw out, let's get our extra paper out of the way. To draw out 4,800, let's take a look at what symbol that is. Now, the reason why we put this into the place value diagram is that we can, if we're not sure, we can always look and see what place it's in. I have a 4 in the thousands place. So that's telling me that I'm going to be drawing 4 of those big cubes. Each one represents 1,000. So here are my 4 big cubes, and now, so that part's done. Now let's take a look at how many hundreds I have. I have 8 hundreds. So I'm going to represent that by drawing 4 hundreds. I'm sorry, 8 hundreds. All right, so I've got these drawn here. The next step that I need to do is I need to figure out what these are worth. So I'm going to come back to my question at the beginning. My target, my goal is to figure out how many hundreds I have in all. So I'm just going to draw this out here. I'm going to make sure this is getting on camera here. I'm going to draw it out and say how many hundreds do I have in this group of my big cubes, and how many hundreds do I have in my group here of hundreds. So we need to figure that out. Well, I know that in a big cube like this, it's worth 1,000. We know that, but I can also show, I wish I had more room here, I can also show that same amount by taking 100, right over here, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. And if I stack these up side by side, they should be exactly the same size. If I put one on top of the other, it should line up just about perfectly to show that 10 hundreds is the same as 1,000. So right over here, when I look back at my drawing, I know there's 1000 here, 1000 here, 1000 here, and 1000 here, making a total of 40 hundreds, right? Because there'd be 40 flats to equal this. 10 flats to equal this big cube, 10 flats to equal this one, 10 and 10, making a total of 40 hundreds. This part's a little easier because each of these is worth just 100. Remember, each of these represents one flat. So I've got 100, 200, 300, 400, 5, 6, 7, 8 hundreds. So now I'm just going to turn it into a quick expression, a quick equation to show 40 hundreds plus 8 hundreds equals 48 hundreds. And voila, we've got the answer to our problem, 48 hundreds. And we can also express that as a multiplication problem. Let's think about that. I've got a total of 48 times what? 48 hundreds. So I can express that as 48 times 100. 48 groups of 100 equals 4,800. If this makes sense to you, now's a great point for you to stop this video and try working on the worksheet yourself. I'm going to go through problem 1 very quickly, and you can either pause this and try problem 1 right now, or if you're still a little stuck, do it along with me. We have the exact same situation here. This time we're converting it into tens. So I'm going to solve it using the same process. First, I'm going to take a look. I have 450. I'm going to put that into my place value chart. 450, right over here. So I've got 450, and I need to turn that into what I can draw. So I know that I have 4 hundreds. Let's think. I know that hundreds I express right here with my flat, so I'm going to draw that out as 1, 2, 3, 4. So there are my 4 hundreds. Now this time I have 5 tens. To show tens, remember that's a long, just like this guy right over here. I represent that with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now my target is to think about how many tens I have. So let's think. I'm going to draw this at blank tens. This is the regrouping it step. Blank tens and blank tens. Well, I know that in each 100, in each flat like this, I can fit. I don't remember if I took enough of these. Let's find out. I know that I can show that with putting in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 groups of 10, and these 10 tens right here make 100. Likewise, 10 tens make 100. So if I have 10 tens in this 100, and 10 tens in this 100, and 10 tens in this 100, and 10 tens in this 100, that's a total of, in this case, 40 tens. All right. Now how about here? This is again easier because I've got tens right here. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 tens. So now I need to add those up. 40 tens plus 5 tens equals, and we're staying with the same unit. Just like 40 apples plus 5 apples equals 45 apples, 40 tuna fish sandwiches plus 5 tuna fish sandwiches equals 45 tuna fish sandwiches. In this case, 40 tens plus 5 tens equals 45 tens. And my very final step for this problem is to rewrite it. I ran out of fresh colors here, sorry. Is to rewrite it as a multiplication equation. I know that I have 45 groups. 45 groups of what? Groups of 10. 45 times 10 equals 450. And by the way, I forgot to write my answer up here on the top before. 45 tens, 45 tens. You know what? If you got the answer here, that's good enough for me. I hope this was a helpful guide for you as we talked about renaming numbers. Give this a try yourself, and hopefully this was a helpful video for you. Have a great day.